Hello, beautiful people. So this is Ayana Malika Critchlow, Malika Critchlow, as I'm most comfortable with, your host for Coco in the Sun podcast. I know I have not done a podcast in a long time, over a month or maybe 2 months, but I wasn't sure if I was supposed to continue doing it. I think I've said these things before, but here I am back again. I found a book I think would be interesting for us to read together. I had listened to it on YouTube, not the whole book, but when they have excerpts, and it was really helpful. And it really resonated with me in terms of what I am discovering for myself about the process. But I wasn't sure if I would complete the book because I didn't complete the last book, and I was like, I don't want to start something and not finish it again and be inconsistent, but also don't want to do something I don't enjoy doing. And I was waiting for a sign. I was asking for a sign. So yesterday I was out and went to dinner with some friends. And while I was there, I got a nice comment on one of my podcasts that was very encouraging. So I was so happy to see it. And then last night I was sleeping and I understood that that was the sign to continue with the podcast. So I'm going to start the book and hopefully we'll see where that leads. Okay. But yeah, I wasn't sure if I was supposed to continue with the podcast. I wasn't feeling it anymore. I was feeling a little bit discouraged with it, you know. And I wanted to do things that were more aligned with what I'm supposed to be doing. I still don't fully understand that yet, but pieces are being revealed. So yeah, so this is the book. We're gonna do the Yeshua Channelings, Christ Consciousness in a New Era by Pamela Kribbe or Kribbe. I don't know how to pronounce Kribbe. I got it off of Amazon. But I first heard the readings of it on YouTube. So you can look it up on YouTube as well. And if you want to hear, and the AI voice that they used to read it on YouTube is not awful. It's very soothing. I didn't find it to be computery, if that's the word. Um, so what I've been up to really is just adjusting to, sorry guys, my new job and the daily routine, learning something new. While I was excited for the job, I was, because it would improve my daily life. It was more aligned with what I enjoy doing if I had to be a nurse. You still have to learn the protocols and the workflows. And so there was some anxiety with understanding it, or if I would understand it, if I would meet their productivity goals and stuff. So I think I'm a little more settled and feeling more confident with that. So I think I can continue with the podcast as well. Also wanted to see like where the eclipse season and the equinox season was going to show me. Um, so there's nothing like definitive that I could share. But I do think um I moved out of some phases into some new phases. I think for sure that occurred, subtle phases. Um, but that would help with my progression in this expansion of myself and who I am as a being of love, I think. I feel like I understood that our core is love and that we have different filters. I like to say filters because I remember Kai, my friend, mentioning the different filters and how they, um, what did she say? Boy, I can't remember. She told me this a long time ago, but she had gotten how they show up, like if you put light against it, right? Um, like stencils. So we all have different filters that display different expressions of that love or different stages of that love. But it's all love. It's all either we not close to the love and we're trying to get there and we feeling hurt by not having that love and that's what's expressing. Or we are in the love and feeling the love and expressing it in that way too, of being the love in that way. But it's all love, I think. Yeah, I think that's the core. That's the authenticity, the true expression of self that for me, I don't want to put this on anybody else, but that's what my understanding is for me, that is revealing itself. My discernment is coming in a lot stronger. And I am being shown how protected I am. Even the littlest things, even the littlest way to enjoy my days. That relationship with my divine team is showing me that they care about every little thing. But also, like, I have to communicate too with them, of what I would love to experience or what feels good or what doesn't feel good. And so I'm finding that I'm enjoying that more and more. But you guys know that. But it's like, it doesn't end this expansion and relationship to my divine team and the universe and the infinite creator. This all that is that I am also a part of. So yeah. So I work today, so that's why I look a little disheveled. But I was feeling very excited and not iffy about doing the podcast today. So I just want to go with the flow of it and start. So we're going to start this book. So the first thing, please don't mind my messy hair, guys. I'm sorry, but I'm here. I don't want to, I don't want to get involved in something else and then I say, oh, I'm tired. I'm going to relax. I want to do it now. Okay, so the preface, I'm going to read the preface first. I don't always do this, but I think these books kind of explain what the book's about. So I like to do that. So again, it's the Jeshua Channelings, Christ Consciousness in a New Era by Pamela Kribbe or Kribbe, Kribbe. Okay. Okay, so this book contains a collection of inspired messages or channelings which I received from my spiritual teacher, Jeshua, over the course of 4 years. The channelings in this book have been published before on our website, www.jeshua.net, and are freely available there. Nevertheless, we felt a book might satisfy the need for a more convenient way to read the material. Also, all of the material in this book has been edited and updated in 2007, meaning that I have rewritten some parts that I felt in close association with Joshua needed to be put differently. Joshua is short for Joshua ben Joseph, the Aramaic name of Jesus. By choosing the name Joshua to present himself, Joshua stresses his humanness and his kinship to us. It is his aim to reach out to us like a friend, an elder brother perhaps, but not as the kind of deified master that has become associated with the name Jesus Christ. The book starts with an introductory channeling from Joshua about who he is and what his mission was on earth 2,000 years ago. Then we start with the first body of channelings, the Lightworker series, which my husband and I received from Joshua in the beginning years when there was no live audience present yet. These messages are about what it means to be a light worker and about the history and destination of this group of souls. They contain a thorough description of the transformation from ego-based consciousness to heart-based consciousness. In the second part of the book, we present a series of 11 messages from Joshua received in the presence of a live audience. The issues dealt with in this series are often quite practical, referring to everyday aspects of life, such as relationships, emotions, work, and health. Through it all runs the thread of self-healing and inner peace as the common theme that holds the messages together. In the final chapter of the book, there is more information on my own background as a channeler and some notes on the phenomenon of channeling in general. I am very thankful to a number of people for their help and support. First of all, there is my husband, Garrett, without whom this book would not have been written. From the start, he has accompanied me on my voyage of discovery in the field of channeling. He was and is always by my side, and I channel Joshua, helping me feel safe and focused. Sorry, I read that sentence wrong. He was and is always by my side when I channel Joshua, helping me feel safe and focused. Also, by his patience and trust, he has helped me get through moments of fear, resistance of doubt, which were also invoked by the channeling process. Finally, Garrett has also contributed a lot to the technical side of the publication process. The Jeshua Channelings were originally received and written down in Dutch. I am thankful to Hedrick de Beer for typing all the audio material and to Wendy Gillison and Tenek Levendig for helping me translate parts of the material into English. I am much indebted to Joe Meebo for his meticulous editorial assistance getting the whole manuscript into proper English shape. Finally, I much appreciated the presence of a number of friends and clients who regularly attended our channeling meetings and who helped create an open and loving atmosphere for the messages to be received. Throughout the years, we have met many people at meetings, workshops, or throughout the internet who were deeply moved by the messages of Yeshua. This has inspired us to go on with this work and to gradually release our own doubt and insecurity about it. We feel that by publishing the Joshua material, we have been reconnected to our soul family, souls who feel called by the same deep longing for spiritual transformation, growth, and healing. We are deeply thankful for this. Pamela Kribbe, September 2007. Okay, so the next section says, trying to see how long it is. The next section says, who is Joshua? I am the one who has been among you and who you have come to know as Jesus. I am not the Jesus of your church tradition or the Jesus of your religious writings. I am Joshua ben Joseph. I have lived as a man of flesh and blood. I did reach Christ consciousness before you, but I was supported in this by powers which are beyond your imagination at present. My coming was a cosmic event. I made myself available for this. It wasn't easy. I did not succeed in my endeavors to pass on to people the immensity of God's love. Oh, there was much misunderstanding. I came too early, but someone had to come. My coming was like throwing a stone in a large fish pond. All the fish flee and the stone sinks to the bottom. There are ripples noticeable long afterwards, though. One might say that the kind of consciousness I wish to convey did its work underground after that. On the surface of the pool, there was constant ruffles. Well-intended but misguided interpretations rose to meet and fight each other in my name. The ones who were touched by my energy, moved by the impulse of the Christ energy, could not really integrate it with their psychological and physical reality. Oh. It has been a long time before Christ consciousness could really set foot on earth. But now the time has come. I have returned and speak through many, through all, and to everyone who wants to hear me and who has come to understand me from the quietness of their hearts. I do not preach and I do not judge. My sincerest hope is to speak to you of the vast and unfeeling presence of love accessible to you at any time. I am part of a much larger consciousness, a greater entity. But I, Jeshua, am the incarnated part of that entity or field of consciousness. I do not like the name Jesus much, for it has become so caught up with a distorted version of what I stand for. Jesus is owned by the church traditions and authorities. He has been molded to fit the interests of the church patriarchs for centuries. So much so that the prevailing image of Jesus is now so far removed from what I represent that it would truly please me if you could just let it go and release me from that heritage. I am Joshua, man of flesh and blood. I am your friend and your brother. I am familiar with being human in every way. I am teacher and friend. Do not fear me. Embrace me like you'd embrace one of your kin. We are family. We are family. Come on, all my sisters and me. Okay. So it goes on. Joshua, Jesus, and Christ. The Christ energy that I came to offer you stems from the collective energy that has gone beyond the world of duality. This means that it recognizes the opposites of good and bad, light and dark, given and taken, as the aspects of one and the same energy. Living from the reality of Christ consciousness means that there is no struggle with anything. There is a complete acceptance of reality. This absence of struggle or resistance as its main characteristic. Oh, sorry. This absence of struggle or resistance is its main characteristics. Okay. Since Christ or the Christ energy recognizes the extremes of all thoughts, feelings, and actions as the manifestation of the one divine energy, there can be no duality and no judgment in the way he, the Christed energy, experiences reality. Let's give an example here. When the Christ in you watches an armed conflict between people, her heart weeps for the fate of the beaten one, but she does not judge. She feels the pain and humiliation of each blow, and her heart is filled with compassion, but she does not judge. She watches the offender, the one with the gun, who has power, who inflicts pain, and she feels the hatred and bitterness inside of him, and her heart grieves, but she does not judge. The heart of Christ embraces the whole spectacle with deeply felt compassion, but without judgment, for she recognizes all aspects as experiences she has gone through herself. She herself has lived out all these roles of offender, victim, of master and slave, and she has come to the understanding that she is neither of them, but that which underlies both. The Christ energy has passed through all energies of duality. It identified itself now with the dark, then with the light, but through it all, something remained the same. And when she realized the sameness underlying all her experiences, her consciousness obtained a new kind of unity. It was Christed. The Christed energy was the energy I came to offer you. Is that a lot to digest? Guys, I'm going to continue. Who I was is quite difficult to explain. I will try to do so by distinguishing between three identities: Joshua, Jesus, and Christ. I, the one who's now speaking, is Jeshua. I am the human being who carried the Christ energy in my incarnation on earth. This energy may also be called Christ. Jesus, in my terminology, is the name for the godlike man who was the result of the infusion of Christ energy into the physical and psychological reality of Joshua. Oh, okay. This Christ energy was poured into Joshua from spheres of light, which are, from your standpoint, located in your future. Jesus was the man who performed miracles and brought forth prophecies. Jesus was an emissary from the spheres of light incarnated in me. In fact, he was my future self. Jesus was, from my perspective, as the man Joshua living on earth, my future self who had become one with the Christ energy. Because the Christ in him was clearly present and visible to many people around him, he appeared to them as divine. But I am interested and still curious and not bored. So I'm going to continue. I, Joshua, was a man of flesh and blood. The unique and to some extent artificial aspect of the Jesus construction was that I received his or my Christed self from the future. I did not become Christed on the basis of my past or the experiences of my past. I did not achieve enlightenment in a natural way, but by means of an intervention from outside, so to speak, by an infusion of Christ's energy from the future. I had agreed to play this role before I began this lifetime. I agreed to be overshadowed by the Jesus presence as an act of service, and also because of a deeply felt longing to get to know the reality of my deepest potential. Jesus, my future self from the spheres of light, had become one with the Christ energy. Yet he did not represent the entire energy of Christ here on earth, for this energy encompasses more than Jesus. He was one part or cell of it. Woo! Christ or the Christ energy, it is more like an energy field than a personal entity. It is a collective energy which has many aspects or cells which are cooperating in such a way that they function as one organism. All cells make a unique contribution to the whole and experience themselves as individuals, while being part of the whole as well. One might call these several aspects of the Christ energy angels or archangels. It is the hallmark of angels that they have a sense of individuality as well as a high degree of selflessness, which also allows them to feel one with collective energies and be joyfully in their service. The notion of archangels is elucidated in the last chapter of the Lightworker series, Your Light Self. Yo, so when I read this, when I listened to this on YouTube, it was just excerpts of it, which were really good excerpts, like 10-minute, 20-minute excerpts. But this looked like it's going to be an interesting read, guys. I am excited. Remember, it's channeled messages, so we take what resonates, but we leave what doesn't, because it's just not right for us now, or not right for us, maybe never. But whatever we can resonate here, like if we're excited about it to learn about it, that's a good sign. I'm excited. I want to know more. Okay, Jesus's mission on earth. Jesus was an energy from the future who came to earth to bring illumination and knowledge to humanity. He came from another world or even dimension, and he brought with him the elevated energy of his reality. His awareness of his own greater self remained intact while he incarnated on earth. Because of his presence in me, Joshua, I could easily realize the flexibility of material laws and perform miracles. The reason why the Jesus Joshua personality came to earth was to create an opening or doorway to a different state of consciousness. I wanted us to set an example of the possibilities that are available to each human being. He was a teacher. But that rabbi means teacher, I think. I'm trying to get a comfortable position. Mm. The reason, oh, okay. In the spheres of light where Jesus came from, it was felt that the earth was going in a direction that would end up in great darkness and self-alienation for the souls involved in the earth experiment. It was decided that a powerful impetus of change was going to be given, which would clearly show human beings the choices available to them. By sending the energy personality of Jesus, we wanted to hold up a mirror to human beings and remind them of their own divine origin and the dormant potentials they carried within, the potentials for peace, for freedom, and mastership over self. Every human being is the master of their own reality. You are creating your own reality all the time. You are able to let go of a miserable or unsatisfying reality and allow light to enter and transform your creation. Oh. You are your own master, but you tend to give your power away to outside authorities who claim to know the truth and want the best for you. This happens in politics, in medicine, in education, etc. Also, your entertainment industry is full of false images about happiness, success, and beauty, which serve no one except the ones who construct them. Have you ever thought about how much money is spent just creating images? In the media, in newspapers, in movies, on radio, on television, and on the internet, images are spread all the time. Where do these images come from? Why are they there? Who designs them? Images are a means of exerting power over people. Images can make people subservient to and disconnected from their true needs without the use of physical force or violence. Images can make people voluntarily give away their own power and self-worth. They delude you in such a way that you need not be violently forced into anything. You will accept the values portrayed by the image as your own and act accordingly. This is what we would call invisible mind control, and it is rampant among your free Western societies. The function of light is primarily to bring clarity, awareness, and transparency to the invisible structures of thought and feeling that shape your life. Light is the opposite of mind control. Where light enters a reality, it breaks bonds of mere power and authority, and it breaks down hierarchies based on them. It holds misuse of power up to the light, and it frees people from delusions and illusions that take away their power of self-determination. Jesus was a threat to the ruling order at the time he lived. By what he told people and simply by what he radiated, he caused structures of power to be seen for what they truly were. This was unbelievable and unacceptable for the existing hierarchy. The role of light worker, which Jesus took upon him, was heavy, especially for me, Joshua, the human being who agreed to carry this intense, bright energy in my lifetime. I, Joshua, was almost overshadowed by the force of Jesus' presence, the presence of my future self. Although it filled me with great insights, love, and inspiration, it was quite a challenge physically to carry or hold his energy. I could not really integrate his energy into my physical being. The cells in my body were not yet ready for it. So, on a physical level, my body got exhausted from carrying these intense energies of light. Apart from the physical aspect, There was also a psychological burden to carrying the Christ energy. I found it very hard to watch the nature of Christ's energy being frequently misunderstood, even by my closest friends or disciples. As the human being that I was, I sometimes became desperate and doubted the value of the journey I undertook. Is that not human? I mean, the humanist things we could do is doubt our journey, right? We always like have these little insecurities. I felt that the world was not ready for the Christ energy. I felt that its essence was not recognized. Jesus was truly a pioneer in his time. Results of Jesus coming to earth. By the coming of Jesus to earth, a seed was planted. It was the seed of the Christ energy. People were moved by what I said and did, and unconsciously at the soul level, they did recognize the Christ energy. Deep within their souls, a memory was stirred, something was touched and set into motion. At the surface, on the level of what can be seen and felt in the physical world, my coming created much commotion. By virtue of the law of duality, the powerful infusion of light creates a powerful reaction from the dark. This is just a matter of logic. Light is confronting. It wanted to break structures of power and set the imprisoned energies free. Darkness is the energy that wants to suppress and control. So these two energies have opposing interests. When one gains in power, the other will strike back to defend itself and regain balance. Thus, my coming to earth also initiated much struggle and violence as a counter reaction to the light I came to spread. The persecution of my followers, the early Christians, is one example of this violent counter reaction. But the Christians themselves, the founders of the church, did not shun violence either in their eagerness to spread my teachings. Think of the Crusades and the Inquisition. In the name of Christ, the most barbaric deeds of darkness have been performed by Christians as well as by non-Christians. The masters of light who decided to send me as an emissary to earth were aware of the fact that the intense and unprecedented energy of Jesus might invoke strong reactions of darkness. Jesus penetrated the reality of earth like a comet. It was a kind of emergency measure from the spheres of light, from energies which were deeply concerned with earth and its inhabitants. It was an ultimate attempt to divert the direction in which earth was heading, a way of interrupting cycles of ignorance and destruction which kept on repeating itself. The results were ambiguous. On one hand, the light of Jesus invoked much darkness by way of counterreaction. On the other hand, the seed of Christ consciousness was planted in the hearts of a number of people. An important reason for my coming was to awaken the light workers' souls on earth. See the first part of this book for an explanation of the notion of the light worker. They would be most sensitive and receptive to my energy, although many had become lost in the density and darkness of the earth plane as well. Light workers are, in fact, emissaries of light with the same mission as Jesus. The difference is that in their incarnation in a physical body, they are less connected to their wider divine self than I was. They are more subject to the karmic burdens and illusions of the earth plane. They are more bound to the past. With the incarnation of Jesus, something special was occurring. Jesus did not carry any karmic burdens from the past, and he could therefore more easily keep in touch with his divinity. He was here in a somewhat artificial way, a presence from the future being here and there at the same time. The consciousness of the beings of light, which jointly decided to insert the energy of Jesus into earth reality at that time, was not perfect and all knowing. Every conscious being is in the process of developing and understanding itself all the time. Among humans, there is a persistent belief that everything is predestined for some divine plan. Behind this belief is the notion of a dominant or omniscient God. This notion is false. There is no predestination by an outside force. They are only probabilities which are the result of inner choices you yourself make. My coming to Earth was based on a decision made by a collective energy of light, of which Jesus was a part. It was a choice that involved risks and an unpredictable outcome. Well, this is news to me. Is news to you? If it's true. Does it feel true? The collective energy of light I am speaking of is an angelic realm that is deeply connected to humanity and earth because it helped to create human and the earth. Actually, you are part of them and not separate from them at all. But we are now speaking multidimensionally. That is on a level of consciousness that is outside of your linear framework of time. In another dimension or framework of time, you are these angels that make up the spheres of light from which Jesus descended to earth. See the last chapter of the Lightworker series, Your Light Self, for an in-depth explanation of multidimensionality and your angelic nature. You, light workers, are much more interconnected with the Jesus event, this infusion of Christ energy on earth, than you suppose. It was, to some extent, a collective endeavor to which you all contributed, and of which I, Joshua, was the visible physical representative. My message was that the Christ energy is present in all human beings as a seed. When you look up to me as some kind of authority, you have misunderstood my message. I wished and still wish to invite you to believe in yourself, to find the truth within your heart, and not to believe any authority outside of you. Ironically, the official Christian religion has placed me outside of your reality as an authority figure to worship and obey. This is quite the opposite of what I intended. I intended to show you that you can be a living Christ yourself. I now ask you to recognize the Christ within and to return your humanness to me. I am Joshua, man of flesh and blood, a true and truly a friend and brother to you all. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. So I'm intrigued. I am going to finish this book. Haven't read it at all, so it's new to me to learn all these new things in it and see like how they feel to me, how they sit with me, what feels true and what doesn't. Um, so that was an interesting opening. The describing of the Christ energy, Jesus and Joshua. I've never heard it broken down that way. And I'm curious to explore that a little more. Not only for how that worked out for him, but how that works out for us, like our future selves coming to live through us. That's Christ energy. I'd be curious about that and how that would translate to our own journeys. Probably not to the extent that he lived it, or maybe to the extent that he lived it or more. Who knows? Anyway, so that's it for today. The podcast is I'm really excited about it again. I feel very hopeful and I'm enjoying it. So it feels natural and not like I have to do something or effort for it, which y'all know I don't like this efforting. I really want to explore effortless flow, bringing into my experience things that are good for me, the love that is for me, the goodness that is for me, the joy, the happiness, the freedom, the harmony, the peace, the calm, the serenity, the confidence, the knowing. That is me. That is for me. So that's where I'm at with what I want to experience in this lifetime and how I master that and how I'm learning to do that, but also effortlessly learning to do that. Anyway, have a great week. May you be gentle with yourself and love yourself and grow in that love of self because from that grows your love of others. That's all. That's all it is. That's all it is. I had understanding this week for me not to hurt others. I really needed to love myself and bring joy to myself so that I don't hurt others because I'm unhappy or because I feel unloved and that would cause me to be irritated with people that are at peace with themselves. When I really need to be at peace with myself, and nourish and nurture myself with what I need as best as I can with the circumstances that I'm in. And then that will expand into more and more of that, I believe. I believe that. I think that's what it is. So I'm wishing you love of yourself. Yeah, love of yourself and how that expands for you into other aspects of your life and all aspects of your life, but that opens up for you. Anyways, so have a great week. We will catch up again next weekend. Um, wishing you, if you wanted, infinite blessings and miracles that are perfectly aligned for you and for the best experience that you can have. Bye, guys.